It's a Teen Talk Skating podcast where I embarrass myself. Hello, and welcome to episode number 67 of the Teen Talk Skating podcast. My name is Van Gogh. I hope you all are doing very, very well. You know that feeling when you have like a really big meal, like a really big dinner, and like afterwards you're like, that was so good, but like your stomach is like telling you like, why did you do that? Like why did you do that? Like that's how I feel right now because I'm just like I'm in like a food coma right now and I could totally go to sleep right now, but like I have to stay awake, keep my eyes open to record this podcast episode. But yeah, that's how I feel right now, is that my stomach actually kind of hates me. But I hope you guys are all doing well. I hope your stomachs don't hate you guys as well. I hope you guys are all doing well with school and work and life and everything. I am very busy, stressed student. There has so many things going on with school right now and everything. So yeah, I'm really sorry if these, episodes aren't gonna be like the best quality per se, but like I'm really trying my best to keep up with the figure skating world and everything that I want to record, as well as all my academics that are really important as well. So yeah, I'm still gonna upload every Saturday, don't worry. Like I don't want to abandon this podcast, but at the same time I'm like dying with school. But anyway, hope you guys are all doing well. I have a really I don't know how to like describe this episode. Very like summarizing episode, if that makes sense. It's a big summary of everything. But first, we're gonna go, of course, to our program of the week, and I really do enjoy this program. So let's go there. I think it's a really underrated one. Program of the week. Okay, so like I said in the very first introduction, this program I feel like is a really underrated program. I don't see a lot of people ever talking about this program, like ever. And honestly, I do feel like it does come from a sometimes underrated skater. And her name is Madeline Ceases, of course, from Canada. This is her 2021 short program from the World Figure Skating Championships. It's set to the music Somewhere in Paradise, I believe it's called. Somewhere in Paradise. It is a bit of a operatic kind of vibe. It's sang by Sarah Brightman. It's very Stranger in Paradise performed by Sarah Brightman from Kismet. And this is it's a very joyful, graceful, playful program. And I definitely think that when I think of Madeline Seas, I think very much good extension, good expression, especially when we consider especially with kind of like lighter program, like she's like, I feel like that is kind of like her main vibe for me. Madeline Seas is that very graceful vibe, and I think she does that and sells that super well. This program plays perfectly to that strength of hers. Stranger in Paradise is a very light song. Specific moments in this program, going down the rink and then the first jumping past the triple lutz triple toe. I feel like when Madeline Skeezes hits the triple lutz triple toe, it's always a good triple lutz triple toe when she hits the triple lutz triple toe. Amazing combination there. She zooms across the other side of the ring to get to a very, very quick triple loop, and you can tell her joy on the landing of that one too. That's really beautiful. She goes more into one of her spins. I want to say it is her first spin. At the very end of the spin, she goes into a Y frame position, and so to describe that, I guess, is when your body looks like a Y shape because you put kind of one leg in the air with one arm holding it and the other arm kind of back, or you can have two arms on the blade. But I feel like Y spins are sometimes a little ugly, but Madeline Skeezes is definitely Madeline Skeezes. Madeline Skeezes, she does not have an ugly Y spin at all. It's beautiful. Looking towards the step sequence in this program, again, very light, it's airy, it's playing to the playful nature of the music really, really well. It is something that is kind of lighthearted. It's not so tough and heavy, duff, dark and tough and heavy program music or program at all. It's a light program, and then I love her double axle entrance. She goes into a kind of Y spiral, cool Y spiral entrance, and then she's the double axle for that extra difficult entry. I love that element of Madison's program, and then going into those last two spins, I really do like it. In between the second to last and last spin, she kind of does a little hop, and it's kind of cute. And again, it's another like it's a very playful program, but it still manages to be quite mature. And I really do enjoy Madeline Skeezes and all of her skating. You can tell even at the very end of the program when she finishes that last spin that she's like, yeah, like yes. She's not like yes, but like she's like yes, 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 yes. That was like exactly what I needed. And yeah, I think she's such an expressive skater, and I love her gracefulness, sometimes her sass, and I feel like you guys should all watch out for Mountain Teases. Maybe she's Olympic champion this next season. I have no idea. But I love her. I would love to have like her style if I actually skated. But anyway, yeah, please go check it out. Madeline Skeezes her 2021 World Tour program To a Stranger in Paradise by performed by Sarah Brightman. Go check it out after you listen to this main episode. That was your program of the week. Okay, guys, so it is the main episode segment now. So we're gonna listen to me rant for like 50 minutes. Yay. But anyway, again, I do want to initially apologize. So sorry if this episode and episodes for kind of the rest of the month of May aren't honestly, I have to admit, I feel like they aren't gonna turn out like the quality I would want. And that's definitely because the school is really taking up a majority of my time right now as I finish off the school year. Lots of projects, lots of exams, lots of finals that I have to do. So I'm really, 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 really sorry in advance. I really want to try to make these episodes as good as possible. But to be honest, today is Friday night, and as I'm recording this, I only started planning for this episode last night, Thursday night, and so yeah, definitely not. Ideally, I would plan out over the week, but I'm really trying to work my butt off right now, trying to plan out all these episodes and think about what I want to do each episode, and also what goes with my schedule and everything. And so, again, I really do want to apologize for the rest of May if these episodes aren't great. But once we hit July, I mean, July? No, June is the month after May Van Gogh. Oh my gosh. Once we get to the month of June when school's out and everything's great, then I know my episodes will be just where I want them to be. But yeah, right now, maybe not the best quality, but I'm gonna get them out for you guys because I know you guys want to listen to me rant for 50 minutes every single week. Anyway, I'm sorry. Yeah, I really want to make these episodes as good as possible. So I'm still gonna be making good quality episodes. Just know that the planning behind it is not as organized as maybe I want it to be. But anyway, the 2024-2025 season has, officially ended. No more major competitions of figure skating this season, which to some people is a good thing for sure. Some people thought this season was super tiring. That was definitely me. This season was super tiring, and we could not handle. I cannot handle another big scandal, another big like upset. I can't handle anything. I can't handle like another major comeback. I can't handle like anything like that anymore. Okay, like I cannot handle that anymore. Get it off my brain. Get it off my mind immediately. But some people do not like that the figure skating season is over. Of course, that's also kind of me. I'm kind of disappointed because I really love discussing competitions and the results and the dynamics and how scores and skaters like are pitted against each other and kind of and how they each want to this mistake caused them to drop and things like that. But, regardless of whether you want the season to be longer or whether you want it to end, it is officially over. So I guess the people who wanted it to be longer are kind of in the losing side here, unfortunately. But yeah, so many crazy things happened this season that made it super tiring. So many comebacks, so many competitions, withdrawals, injuries, coaching changes. I don't even know, program changes in the middle of the season. Who knows? But today I want to go over the lessons or skating lessons, if you will. Ha ha ha. Um, Things that we kind of learned about the world of figure skating, or honestly, it just all kind of applies to life in general. I think really highlighting the kind of relatable aspect of the sport, along with kind of the stories that are told within it that I think are quite worth noting. There's so many skaters out there. These skaters are not just skaters, they become people to us. They're the people that we see on TV, that we see on the live streams, and we grow attached to some of these skaters sometimes. And we are so proud of them. We're so happy for them. And I want to point out some of the stories that I think are definitely worth noting the most. But sorry if I do not mention your favorite figure skater. I promise I would mention all the figure skaters I could if I could. But Yeah, so we're gonna get started with this episode. So I have kind of the format of this is that I just have different kind of lessons we learn and kind of examples that I think kind of go along with it. So yeah, again, these are kind of things that we learned about figure skating this season, and I think things that kind of apply to life in general. And I want to discuss all of that. So we're starting off with a bang, and my first lesson is that we should never rule out a comeback. I do think, that the comeback thing in figure skating is such an amazing thing that someone could just come back on like and just do amazing and show the world that I haven't lost my skills. I haven't lost it at all. And I think there is really the one major prime ultimate end all example of this, and that is, of course, Miss Alyssa Liu this season. Alyssa Liu is like one of like it just has to be like out of a fairy tale, out of some make believe story, because I still cannot really believe, like, it's still hard to settle like what happened to her this season. We found out last January, I believe, or last February, that Alyssa Liu was like, "Hey, I'm coming back. Just for a little bit of fun. I'm just gonna come back to figure skating after being gone for about 2 years. She hasn't competed since the 2021-2022 Olympic season, and yet she came over here. She decided this season that she was going to come back to competition, and everyone's definitely hopeful for sure. But I do think there were quite a lot of doubters, like, oh, she's been gone for 2 seasons. Like, her technical ability isn't like a part anymore, and she's gonna struggle with this, or she's gonna struggle with that. And I have to admit that, yeah, I was maybe one of those people who kind of agreed. Like, I know Alyssa Liu is good based on what she's shown in the past when she was younger, but it's been 2 years. She hasn't been in competition in 2 years. How is she gonna do? And yeah, mark my words that Alyssa Liu all proved us wrong, because yeah, maybe in the beginning of the season she did have a little mishap here and there. Her jumps were, a little under rotated. That was her main issue. But she just kept on going and going and going. She went to her first challengers again. She ended up going to two Grand Prix and doing relatively well at both of them. Maybe not in medal position, but she did relatively well in both of her Grand Prix. She ended up doing another challenger. And then nationals, I feel like, is really the turnaround point for Alyssa Liu, because coming back to compete in the US, having this ultimate comeback story, being gone for 2 years, not representing your country for 2 years, and to kind of come back home per se and to go compete in Wichita, Kansas was, I think, amazing for Alyssa Liu. Her short program there was, one of the best moments, I think, of this whole season. It was stunning. It was beautiful. It was the emotional moment of the whole event. Her free skate was really well. She ended up the silver medalist. She went to four continents, did okay there, placed off the podium in fourth, and then she ends up going to Worlds and becoming world champ. Just casually becomes the world champ. That makes sense. The person who just came back after being gone for 2 seasons becomes the world champ. Did I read that right? Yeah. Yeah, guys. We saw Alyssa Liu become world champ, achieving these crazy scores. It was like 220, like one. I don't even know. It was some giant score. And Alyssa Liu. Yeah, Alyssa Liu did that. Yeah, she did in fact become the world champion after being gone for 2 seasons. And it was just so amazing to watch. And then she went to World Team Trophy and did really well there. Placed first there, contributed to Team USA in the team event as well, helping them win. But I had to say, I think the main lesson that I learned from Alyssa Liu is to perform without pressure, because I think a lot of people like myself observe that she did not ever like look nervous or stressed or frazzled by any of this competition environment at all. She just kind of went with it. She kind of just went with the flow. She went with everything. And it was just amazing to see her just be so relaxed, and it was almost like she did not expect that she would win anything at Worlds, and she came in and blew the roof off the stadium in Boston for sure. She was just so relaxed, so carefree about her programs that at the end she's like, "Hey, that was a really good program. Like, hey, maybe I'll get a good score." Like, I don't think she excited one little bit that she would become world champion, and yet she did, because she is absolutely amazing. So I am so excited to see what Alyssa Liu has to offer next season. But definitely something I learned is to like relax. Like, you don't know what's gonna happen, and like the time when you relax might be the best moment of your life. Like, actually. Okay, and then another comeback that I wanted to mention, also in the women's event, was Wakaba Higuchi of Japan and her kind of comeback this season. Yes, she did compete last season, but it wasn't like with so much success as I guess. But this season was like, no, 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 no. Like, I know my comeback last season may not have been so successful, but I'm here to show that I still got it in me. Um, I want to point out especially her performances at Skate America, okay in the short, and then her free skate to running up that hill will be such like that is such an iconic moment. I'm getting like shivers thinking about that moment because it's just like the emotional like atmosphere in everything at that moment. Wakawa Higuchi skating that program to running up that hill. So much emotion. It was every movement, it was everything, and she ends up winning the Grand Prix. Oh my god, like that was so like cathartic. It was there's you cannot I still imagine it in my head because Wakaba, you are so amazing. And then of course, like 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, she goes to France. She does amazing as well. She qualifies to the Grand Prix final. Again, nothing, something that I think a lot of people didn't expect. She ends up placing third, I believe, at Japanese Nationals. She ends up going to a few competitions. She ends up going to Worlds. She places, was it sixth at Worlds, which is an amazing result for her. Especially for Wakabe Higuchi, I think she shows a lot of longevity. She competed at Worlds back in 2018 and placed third there, and then coming back in 2025 now, like that is a really huge jump, obviously, but she's still got it in her. I'm so excited to see what she has to bring. Will she be bringing her triple axel back? Is my main question. I have no idea, but either way, Wakaba should be so proud of herself because she's amazing. She is absolutely amazing in every sense of the whole dang word. Okay, and so that was our point about comebacks. I feel like my nose is so stuffy. I'm so sorry, guys. Okay, my next point has just one example, but I think this is an amazing example. I call it the diamonds in the rough, right? There's this sea of, okay things and, okay, it's dusty, it's sandy, it's a desert, but then you find a big diamond. And for me, I've called her my find this season in terms of like, where have you been all my life? Like, I need to see more of your programs. And you've heard me say her name a million times this season, of course. That is Rino Matsuike of Japan. Oh my gosh. Reno is so amazing because I honestly feel like, oh my gosh, like have I like it's like I've heard of your skating before. I haven't really watched you before, but this season changed everything for me. It's like Reno went from one of my like, oh skate, oh right, yeah, yeah, Reno Matsuke, yeah. And now it's like, yeah, Reno Matsuke. You know what I mean? Like she went to like the top of my list of like skaters like I follow, I love, I watch, I wanna like look at everything you do, like what are your programs next season? Like you know what I mean? Like I'm so obsessed now with Rina Matsuke because oh my gosh. And of course, it all has to do with, of course, her performances at Skate Canada. I think Skate Canada was the night that changed my life for me, honestly, because like Rina Matsuke and her free skate coming into that was like it was such a pleasant surprise. Yeah, she was 10th. She was 10th in the short program there with just not a really not good short program. Her jumping passes all had mistakes on them, but then she ended up like rallying in the free skate. She scored so well in the free skate. I think she won the free skate by like 10 points or something. Like it was like more than 10 points. Like I don't even know. She goes from 10th place in the short to second place overall with the first place free skate because that is somehow possible, I guess. That is somehow possible. Rina Matsuke, because she has magic in her. And so I really do think that was such a magical moment. Her program itself was so magical. Lux Eterna, I believe is what it's called, but it was so graceful. That step sequence, and then the moment when she holds that blade edge with the I think right forward loop or something like that, where she just holds it and she kind of skids in a spiral. Oh my god, it like my heart melts every time I see it on Reddit or Instagram. It's just my heart just melts. You know what I mean? It's just like wow, wow. Like the feeling like exuberates out. Like it's just like that moment is like wow, like the best 5 seconds of my life. You know what I mean? And Rina Matsuke. what that like that choreography. I believe it's Lori Nickel. I believe it's Lori Nickel. Like genius, 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 and like how like just genius. It's just genius. And then of course she got to go. She got to go to um Grand Prix final after getting another silver at Finland, and then she did really good this season. She did go to Fort Collins as well, and I want to see more of her skating. I honestly really hope she keeps her free skate, but just showing that yeah, like maybe I had a terrible short program, but that does not mean that the free skate ain't going to be all I got. It does not mean that I am forever a terrible skater. In fact, I am the complete opposite of that, and I think that's really what Rina Matsuke showed to me, and that's why I really fell in love with her skating, and I honestly cannot wait to see even more of it for sure. Okay, and then my third point has to do just with one category. I mean, one discipline, and I think it's probably really obvious which discipline it is, and it is the men's discipline because the men do men is the name of my third lesson, my third skating lesson that we learned this season. And honestly, I don't really think it's a new lesson that we learned. It's definitely an old lesson we learned from the beginning of history of figure skating history that the men in figure skating just do they are themselves, you know what I mean? And by that I mean that figure skating men are so messy in competition that it's honestly baffling to watch. But I'm dedicating this just to the men's event because why not? And I think the perfect example of the men being men this whole season is the men's event at Europeans this season, which was a little like yeah, a little all over the place. I wanna say at first it's probably Lucas Britsky who was eighth place in the short program with it was an okay short program, and then he ended up first place in the free skate with a almost pretty much clean skate. It was a great skate for him. He put everything he got into skating here in Talon, and then he ended up first place overall. And it was I don't want to say it was satisfying because that sounds like it was not satisfying seeing people make mistakes, obviously, but it was shocking to see him go from eighth to first and to keep that first position. The seven skaters that went after him just went down and they just didn't do as good and not as good. And then Lucas Brissy just ended up at the top somehow. Yeah, he went from eighth in the short to first in the free and first overall. Nikolai Momola at the same event did something similar. I believe he was fifth in the short and then second in the free. That was not, I feel like, as a crazy of a jump. But Lucas Britsky at Europeans was actually like kind of crazy. Like, oh my god, like wow, like really, wow, wow, yeah. Because the men, we like cannot talk about the men enough because the men just men for sure. Some of the men do amazing one competitions, some of the men don't. Some of the men switch ordinals entirely and somehow get to a medal position, just like Lucas Britsky. Definitely lots of wow, yeah, that happened. So yeah, I love seeing these crazy ordinals that happen. I feel like the rest of the season didn't have too many crazy ordinals. Worlds wasn't as crazy for the men as Europeans definitely yeah, the Europeans definitely was the craziest event for the men for me. But yeah, that was yeah, that was pretty crazy. Okay, my fourth lesson is up and down we go. That's what I'm calling it because I feel like sometimes in life you're up, sometimes in life you're down. And, I guess it is really, really cliche that life is a roller coaster. Life is this, life is that. But in all honesty, life really is a roller coaster. And I feel like that does relate to kind of a lot of figure skaters' journeys. So many figure skaters were on that downward trend. They were so inconsistent. But then they shined at the top, at the up part when it really did matter most. Some of the skaters I want to mention here Kevin Amos, for example, who went to his very first competition of the season. It was French Masters. It was kind of like France's test skates event, if that makes sense. And I think he only scored 170 or like 180 or something. His free skate, I think, it was like 1 point above his short program, which is obviously really big. Like, no, no, no. But then he ends up going to Skate America, his next competition, barely not even a month afterwards. It was like 3 weeks maybe afterwards, and then he blows the roof off of Skate America because that short program was so him. It was so artistic. It was so expressive. It was so like Oh my god, it was so much fun to watch. And then he ends up, being in fourth place at the short program, and then he ends up first in the free skate for second overall to reclaim a silver medal. It was just so amazing for him to see that like difference between those 3 weeks and see how that 3 weeks made a huge difference in his skating. He was so consistent at Skate America. He was so energetic. He was so pumped. The audience absolutely loved him, and I loved him, and it was like, who did not love him? Like, if you didn't love those performances, like, wow, like that, wow, like you are tough to please. You know what I mean? Like, it was so much fun to watch him express himself, and the free skate is so artistic and contemplative and so like pausing and pensive. It's just so amazing to watch. And maybe he didn't also, maybe he didn't have the best like rest of the season, if that makes sense. His programs were okay overall. He did end up getting another medal. I forgot. I think Cup of China that he placed at. I literally cannot remember. He did France. No, yeah, he did Finland. Okay, and he ended up being second in Finland as well. He ended up going to the Grand Prix final, and he ended up, not doing the best there. He was sixth there, so that's totally okay. And he ended up going to Europeans, and he was 22nd at Europeans. But then the very last event of the season, he ended up going to Worlds, and he placed fifth place, which is really really good. After Europeans, it was kind of a big question mark. Again, he was placed at 22nd there after being kind of like a potential a medalist at Europeans, I feel like. And then he came in, didn't do so well at Europeans, went to Worlds, did amazing there, and guaranteed France, or no, he earned France another third spot with Adam Schaumfa, of course, and that really did help get their, what am I trying to say? Helped them get the spots that they really wanted. I don't know how I'm phrasing things now. And then lastly, on this category about kind of up and down seasons, I want to mention my absolute favorite women's skater at this time right now. And of course, that is Amber Glenn herself. Amber Glenn, oh my gosh, like this season for Amber Glenn was just so like up, it went down, it went up, it went down. She started off her fall season, so strong. She went to Lombardia Trophy, I believe it was. Yes, it was Lombardia Trophy, and it was like a whole new skater had appeared on the ice. It was like, wow, was that the same Amber Glenn who really didn't do so well at the 2024 World Figure Skating Championships? And it was like, yeah, a few months later, she went to Lombardia Trophy. She shined her short program. She landed the triple axel in the short for the first time. She had an amazing free skate. She ended up winning over Kari Sakamoto and I think Isabel Levito as well. No, was it Sarah Everhart there? Or was it Sarah? I can't remember, honestly. But yeah, Emery Lynn was so good. And then she went to her Grand Prix. Grand Prix de France was relatively decent. Her short was really good. Her free was okay. In China, her short was okay. Her free was really good and really good. And then she ended up going to Grand Prix final first there as well. And so coming into that second half of the season, she had won first at every competition. She was the only skier, I believe, who had been, undefeated at that point in the season, who had competed as many times as her and still remain undefeated. So it was just an amazing result there. And then, the second half of the season was kind of the downward part of her season, but it showed so much about her fighting potential. Going into the U.S. Figure Skating Championship, she was third in the short and then first in the free to be first overall. She was, just it was a very like difficult victory for sure. She goes to Worlds. I think a lot of people expected her to maybe be a medalist at Worlds, but maybe like it was hard to tell. She goes to Worlds. She is ninth in the short after that devastating fall on the triple axel. She gets kind of one of those free skates where it's like I like fought for everything. And her free skate was so admirable and so like, I, Amber Glenn, think you are one of the like most special skaters in the whole world. Fighting through that free, placing fourth there, fifth overall. It was so amazing to see. It was so amazing to see her fight after not the best short program, after all the struggles this season, and then earning the cherry on top. I think at World Team Trophy again, not the best short program, but then being first in the free with pretty much all clean jumps, triple axel and everything. Just amazing to see her, and I'm so hopeful for Amber Glenn being like the Olympic champion, the world champion. Like I want to see something like that for Amber Glenn. I want to see her fight. I want to see her do everything it takes to become Olympic champion or world champion or both next season. I wouldn't mind both, guys, for sure. But yeah, it's just amazing, amazing skating from her. Let's see. So yeah, just oh my gosh, Amber at that end of the season, just it was so up at the beginning, it's kind of a little bit down at the end, but then she went up again at World Team Trophy, got that program that she like deserved. She deserved to get that program. You know what I mean? She fought for that program. Okay, my next point is that we had so many fighters this season for sure. So many fighters. I'm actually gonna add an example I just thought of. Oh my gosh, how did I not think about that? So many fighters. I want to first mention, that fighting itself is like the mental game. It's the physical game. It's the everything game. Fighting against other people game. But in figure skating, I really do feel like it is the more mental game, like fighting against yourself. Even though there's been some disappointments for sure. Isabel Levito is what my first example. Isabel, oh my god, the season that Isabel Levito had, I feel like is kind of like the unexpected tragedy that ended up being so positive in the very end. Isabel Levito, she did so good this season. At the beginning of the season, did a couple of competitions. She ended up going to Skate America, doing relatively well there. She had come into this season, if you remember, as the 2024 silver medalist. She ended up going to Nebelhorn Trophy, being second there, and then she goes to Skate America. She was third there. And then and then she didn't compete. We didn't, well, like, she withdrew. She withdrew and we didn't know why. We were like, okay, did something happen to her? Is she okay? And it turns out she was not okay. She had a foot injury. And, everyone thought, oh, her season's over. Isabel Levito's season is over, and maybe this is the worst time to have your season be over. The pre-Olympic season is kind of the season to kind of be very, very present at, and this it's over now, and how is she gonna come back from this? I think a lot of people are very much in that kind of spiraling stage, well, being like, yay, Isabel, like, please recover, please get well soon. I think a lot of people were also critiquing and being like, we don't know if she's gonna recover from this, which I totally understand, but do not doubt Isabel Levito. I think she's the biggest fighter in all of figure skating. She is such a big fighter because she doesn't even go to the U.S. Nationals because she can't. She's still injured. She goes to the Road to 26 Trophy as a test event, and she does relatively well there. She places second there, pretty good. She ends up going to Worlds. She passes the protocol to make it on the Worlds team, and she ends up going to Worlds. She ends up being third in the short program with a clean short program. Her Breakfast at Tiffany's short program is so playful. It was so clean and elegant and playful. She ends up going fifth place in the free with a really, really great skate. One fall in that program, but she did the rest of that skate like it was she had never been injured. I feel like she did the rest of that skate as if she'd never been gone the whole season. You wouldn't have believed that she was gone that for a bit of the season because she fought so hard. She fought every moment of that program, and it was just so amazing to watch. That just do not give up. You know what I mean? That's what I saw from Isabel. I was so like inspired. I was like, Isabel, like I've only seen you like twice this season. Like, wow, like the fact that you put out that kind of free skate is like straight up like wow, like that was emotional for me. I'm not gonna lie. That was so good. In ice dance, I wanted to mention the example of Guignard and Fabry, who I think had a lot of doubters this season. I saw a lot of doubters, a lot of people critiquing them because mainly, I cannot speak English anymore. Mainly because of their free dance this season. It was that robot free dance. Was I the biggest fan of the robot free dance? Kind of no, but I think a lot of people was already like doubting it from the beginning. Like, really, robots? And I think a lot of people didn't give Guillaume Fabry the chance. They did have that disappointment at Grand Prix de France where they fell in the free dance, if I remember correctly. They ended up thinking about withdrawing from Cup of China, but they fought. They're like, let's reconsider it. They fought for a really good medal, the second place at Cup of China as well. Really great result. Was it second place for them at Cup of China? Yes, I believe it was. Behind Gilles and Poirier. As I if I wait behind Gilles and Poirier. No, they won. Gilles and Poirier was not there. But yeah, they were amazing there. They went to Europeans. They regained their first place at Europeans as well. They did go to Worlds. They did go to Worlds and they did place fourth at Worlds. It was a really close fourth. They went to World Team Trophy and did, a third there as well. I do think that a lot of people like doubted Guillaume Fabre like quite a lot this whole season based on kind of their trajectory and their programs and their kind of everything going in. But they fought so hard after that disappointment at France for Cup of China and for Europeans that I really do enjoy their skating. And I really did like as well their performance at Worlds. Were they the most happy with it? No, but still they fought for those programs for sure. They were fighting to not lose the audience's grip, to not lose the judges' grip. They were fighting, and I'm so excited to see them fight, of course, as they head into the Olympic season in their home country of Italy. It will be very exciting to see for sure. And then my last example of a fighting team that I just added is the team of Tequila and Rich Lewis, who, oh my gosh, Tequila and Rich Lewis. What do I say about them? They're my favorite Ice Dance team, so I am really, really biased towards them. Oh, that's my glasses. Sorry, my box. But I am super biased towards Tequila and Rich Lewis. Like I'll admit that for sure. I will definitely admit that I am really biased towards them. They had a few couple disappointments at the beginning of the season. I remember they fell in the rhythm dance at, was it Budapest Trophy or Nepal Memorial? I think it was Budapest Trophy. I think if they competed at. That was kind of disappointing. Oh my gosh. Sorry. Yeah, they made a couple mistakes here and there. They were third at Grand Prix Finland, and then they went to Europeans. They placed fourth. It was super, super close. They could have been third. It was like so close to fourth, so close. They were third in the free dance. But I think the main fighting part, as many of us know, listening here, the main fighting part was definitely their performance at Worlds. In the performance at Worlds, they had the most disappointing result in the rhythm dance, a 20th place in the rhythm dance after falling on their midline step sequence. They barely qualified at the free dance. Of course, there was a team of Reed and Rulevicius from Lithuania, who also had fallen on the same element. They were just a couple points separated between 20th and 21st, but Turkey versus Lewis used that opportunity from 20th in the rhythm dance to build up, and they placed really, really well in the free dance. I forgot what it placing exactly, but I think they moved up. Let me see. They moved up. I forgot what place exactly they moved up, but they moved up super duper well. Yes, they moved up to the 11th position after a 7th place free dance. Their tango at Worlds was really entertaining to watch for sure, and I really did enjoy watching it. And I really do want to point out as well, of course, Reed and Amber Levicius, who didn't qualify to the the free dance, but Tequila or no, Reed and Amber Levicius, I'm sure that they will also regain their ability, and I know they will also continue to impress us as well. Okay, and then one of the other points I wanted to make is that artistry still shines after all this time. Maybe a lot of the season was kind of focused on the technical side, on the jumps and the jumps and the jumps and the quads and the quads and the triples and the triples and the triple axles and the quads and everything like that. The jumps are obviously super important in figure skating, no doubt, but I think artistry still shines after all of this time. Some examples I wanted to point out this season, Kevin Amos, as I mentioned earlier at Skate America. If you did not like those programs, like, oh my gosh, that was so much fun to watch. But I already mentioned Kevin Amos, so Jason Brown, obviously Jason Brown is like the biggest artist in all of figure skating. I love his style, I love his story, I love everything about him. He came back from maybe a bit of a disappointing kind of fall season into a really, really great spring season. He ended up placing Yikes, I can't remember. Seventh. I can't remember. He ended up placing. What did you place, Jason? He ended up placing eighth at Worlds. Eighth was Worlds was really good. He went to World Team Trophy. He ended up placing second there with a really amazing free skate. His artistry continued to impress us. Obviously, with that free skate, the Spiegel and Spiegel free skate, I really want him to keep it. Not gonna lie, it was so elegant. It's so repetitive, yet it's so innovative all at once. It feels like every time I watch that program, I watch it for the first time again, and I'm continually amazed time and time again. And so I love Jason Brown and all that he stands for. Another guy I want to point out, of course, Dennis Celsius. Oh, I loved his program this season. The really funky disco program where he was having so much fun being kind of cool and like just chill. Like, and that was so like it was refreshing to watch. It was quirky. It was disco. It was 80s. It was like it was dance. It was like, let me just show you what I can do, you know. And then his free skate was the La Bayadera free skate. It was balletic. It was elegant. It was so princely. It was so elegant, and it was so. Oh my God, that's my phone. It was so like, it was so elegant. It was so like graceful, the balletic qualities, the the spread eagles and that chorus sequence. It was so reaching out for the audience, kind of dying at the end. Like it was so like, gosh, that was so artistic, so good. I want to point out also in the men's event, good growth in artistry from the last years. Ilya Malinin, for example, was a good example of artistry. That the short program, both his short and his free skate, where it was good that he chose pieces of music he likes because I think that that really helped him relate more to the music, and I think that really helped his artistic expression. Another example of good growth for me would be Kalmura, whose free skate was really, really good. Shun Sato as well of Japan. The Japanese men really achieving really great artistic ability. Shun Sato competing free skate at that free skate at World Team Trophy, even being sick, his outfit, the music, it really went well together. He was, really impressive in his ability to continue to artistically perform for an audience. It was one of the first times I felt really connected to his programs, and it was really impressive to see for sure. Um, and then of course Rina Matsuke, I have to mention her again. Artistically also Alyssa Liu with her Promise short program was so artistic. Um, Gillis and Poye in their free dance was so quirky. It was tangoy. It was electricy. It was interesting. Their rhythm dance with the lifeguard outfits, the California girls, the California beaches. Like I don't even know. It's scuba diving. Like so much fun, so much artistry. So much fun in that. Chalk and Bates showing the artisticness of their free dance that was so like so jazzy and so refined, and it was chic, and it was so refined. It was so like expertly done for sure. And then my second to last point, is this the last point? I can't remember. No, second to last point, is that the surprises keep on coming even after the season is technically done. And with that, I really wanted to comment on one of the kind of the biggest pieces of skating news recently is that the Shibutani siblings are returning to Ship Sibs. Maya and Alex Shibutani are returning to ice dance. If you don't remember them, I don't blame you because they last competed 7 years ago, which, that is yeah. They last competed 7 years ago. They are the 2018 ice dance bronze medalist at the Olympics, which definitely gives a lot of lots of reputation in them for sure. Coming back with such a major title, third place at the Olympics is a major title. But they have not competed in 7 seasons, and with their comeback, a lot of people are predicting it could very well like shake ice dance right now because ice dance is a very hierarchical discipline, as we know. Kind of the best teams are kind of the older teams, but the ships haven't competed in 7 seasons, yet they come back with all of this repertoire. It will really be dependent on their technical ability for sure. But everyone, I think, including me, was kind of freaking out about it. When I first saw it, I was like, what? Oh, the ships, they're coming back. Yeah, and yeah, after 7 years away from competing, they've decided to come back. They've skipped over a whole Olympics, but they've come back. They're coming back for this Olympic season, hoping to earn a spot on the American Olympic team for sure. And it's a lot of reactions coming from it, a lot of good ones, a lot of bad ones, a lot of people saying it's kind of unfair that they're coming back so suddenly, a lot of people really agreeing with it. They miss the ship sib so much. I think that it is up to them. It was their personal choice. It isn't like we can't just tell them you're not coming back ever. But the ship sibs coming back is definitely very unprecedented for sure. We weren't expecting it. I thought they had retired for sure. I thought they were just not saying that they were super retired. But this decision to come back is like kind of the decision of the quad and ice dance. Like, how will this impact ice dance? Is my question for sure. This could totally impact ice dance. This could totally not impact ice dance. It will really depend on them, um their technical ability, their music choices, their programs, how well they all connect this together. Because I could see this going like anywhere for sure, and we don't know where. We do not know where this all could go. Um, and yeah, we have no idea where this all could go. And so this could go anywhere, and it could be the most amazing thing of their life. It could maybe not be the most amazing thing in their lives. We have no idea. And I think that is kind of the scariest thing about this all, is that this is such a crazy comeback that it almost makes me wonder, what if someone else comes back? Like, I don't know who it would be in the men's event, in the women's event, in the pairs event, in the Iceland event. What if someone else makes like the craziest comeback of their entire lives? It could be anything. And yeah, I was very much under the impression again that they retired, but they're clearly back. Someone else could say like, I'm retired, and if you know what I mean, like in quotation marks, I'm retired, kind of. But yeah, they could totally come back. I feel like they could totally prove us all wrong, that yeah, they deserve to be, on that Olympic team. It will depend on 5 million factors, but the ship sips are back. I know that news is kind of crazy to everyone. If you haven't heard, then sorry for spoiling it for you, I guess. I don't know. I'm sorry. But who else can come back and shake up the hierarchy? Is it gonna be Carolina Costner? I don't even know. You know what I mean? Like, in my world, Carolina Costner would come back. But I don't think that's gonna happen probably. But like, could be anyone. Mao Asada. You know what? Never too late, right? It could be Mao, Yuna, and Carolina all coming back. And the men, it could be like Daisuke Takahashi and Brian Joubert or something. Like, it could be crazy. Stefan Lambiel comes back. I have no idea. But yeah, and I really do think that the whole overarching lesson that we have to understand from this all is that, are we ready for the 2025-2026 Olympic season? Let's hear that again. The 2025-2026 Olympic season is arriving. I didn't think that we would get this far so quickly. It feels like yesterday that we were in, like, I have no idea. It feels like yesterday we were in what? The Beijing still? I think yesterday we were still in Beijing. I think we were still in 2022. And yet we are in 2025. We are approaching 2026 with, record breakneck speed on this train to the Olympics right now in Italy. And I have to admit that I don't think I'm ready for all of this chaos that this season will bring. And I have no idea what will happen this season. But I'm almost accepting the uncertainty. I'm accepting that, yes, figure skating will be crazy. Yes, the Olympic champion might be some random person I never cared about from, I don't know, some random thing skater. I don't know, some random skater from like years and years ago. I have no idea what the podium will look like. I have no way of predicting it. But you know what? I'm gonna accept that everything will be uncertain, and that figure skating as a sport will still be okay and beautiful, and my favorite thing to watch in the very end. And so with that, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode on all the lessons we learned from the 2024 to 2025 season. My name is Vango. I hope you enjoyed this crazy episode. I know I ranted for probably too long. My throat really, really, really hurts. But yes, I'm not ready for the next season, but I'm accepting that. And yeah, next episode will probably be about my favorite programs from this season. So, for example, my favorite programs. Like, I feel like that's not hard to explain. My favorite shorts, my favorite freeze. Maybe I'll throw in a couple exhibitions in there, and we will definitely see everything that occurs there. But yes, please check me out next week as well, even though it might not be the most best quality episode because I'm really sorry about that. But please go check it out. My name is Dango. I hope you guys have a great week. Check me out next week. Listen to next week's episode about my favorite programs, and I will see you all next week. Bye bye.